Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me today. So in this video, I am going to discuss how you create a Google form, and I'll go over some basic things such as creating a new form, copying existing forms, and also how you can post your forms to your Google Classroom and view the responses from your students. All right, let's go ahead and begin. So the first thing I'm going to go over is how you create a new Google form. In order to do that, we want to open up a web browser and go to google.com, and we do want to make sure that you are signed in. So if you're not sure how to do that, all you do is go to the top right hand corner. You'll see a sign in icon, and you just click on that, and if you work for the school district, then you're going to sign in using your district account. And once you sign in, you're going to click on or open up the Google menu. That's going to also appear at the top right hand corner. A lot of people describe it as looking like a waffle, but that's just your Google menu, and that's where you find all your Google apps. Now, to find the forms, it's usually not at the top, so you'll kind of have to scroll down until you reach the bottom-ish. Looks like this. It's a purple icon that says forms. So pretty easy so far. Now, once you get to this screen, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. You can either start a new blank form or you can use one of their form templates. They're pretty much all the same. I think the only difference between them is that the templates kind of have like certain features that are added. For example, if you choose an exit ticket, then once the students submit the exit ticket, then it will say to them, "Thank you for submitting your exit ticket." If you choose assessment, then you can assign points to each question, and a score will appear at the end for the students who complete them. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a blank form since we are making an attendance sheet. Now, once you've opened up a form, you can do whatever you want to it, right? We want to create a title for whatever the topic of the form is, an assignment or whatever. You can even write weekly attendance sheet. Now, there's a section up at the top left-hand corner that also asks for a title. I'm going to just use a different title so I know, so you can see how this is different. So I'm going to say Ms. Vu's title. Right? This title up at the top left-hand corner is for you. This title that's actually on the form is for the students, right? So let me go back one so we can kind of see how those two are different. So this is the demo page I just created. This is the title that the students will see. The title right here is the one that's just for me, so that when I'm scrolling through all of my millions of forms, I don't get them all mixed up. All right, and to add a question, right, let me just type in a question, right, and if you want to, you can choose to have your questions in certain forms. So let's say I actually am creating an attendance sheet. The first thing I might want to say is first name, right, and we want to make sure that the students can type in their name, right, so short answer. That way they can type it in, and we do want to make sure that this is a required field, so they're not allowed to skip that question. Now, to add another question, you just go right here and it says plus, right? Plus means add another question. You might say, okay, now enter in your last names, right? And sometimes Google will automatically switch the format of the question for you. If it's incorrect, then just click on this and switch it back to whatever you want. And again, we want to make sure that this question is required. And then I'm just going to add one more question, maybe class period, right? Now with the class periods, I'm going to put those in myself, and I usually like to do it as a multiple choice or as a drop down menu, right? This check boxes right here just means it's a multiple select, so the students can pick more than one correct answer, right? So in fact, for classes, I actually even like to do drop down menu. So period 1, period 2, period 3, and so on, right? And again, I want to make sure that this field is required, okay? And that's pretty much it. The form will automatically save as you type in different things. So if your computer crashes, we don't need to cry about it. You can just open it back up and it should leave off from wherever you left off. Now, there is one final thing that you want to make sure to do depending on what you're allowing your students to do. And in order to do that, we're going to go click on this settings gear right up at the top right here, and it'll open up this menu that lets you do a lot of things. You want to make sure that you limit the number of responses. So for example, if the students are taking an assessment, we only want them to be able to do that one time, right? If you're taking attendance for the week, we want to make sure that we're only allowing them to submit that attendance once that week. And you can always clear their scores and have them do it again if you want, but normally you want to only limit it to one. Otherwise, a student might go in and resubmit the same form over and over and over again without knowing that they've already done it. Okay, all right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I click save up here. Boop. And that is the end. I've just created a new form, and I know that it's here because if I click on my back menu, I should find it in all of my forms down here. Here it is. This is the one I've just created. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how we share our Google Forms. In order to do that, we're going to go to the top right and click on this button that says send. And if you're just sharing this to one or two people and you want to email the form to them, you can click on this little envelope icon right here and type in their email address, and it'll just email it directly to whoever it is that you're sending the form to. This button at the bottom right here that says add collaborators, you can add someone to collaborate, which means give them the right to edit the form or allow them to make a copy of the form. You would do that through this mode right here. Now, if you're sending to a mass group of people or posting this to your class webpage, you want to copy and paste the link. So I would click on this link icon that's in the center right here, and you just copy and paste this Google link right here, and you can put it in an email and send it out to a ton of people, or you can go to your class webpage and post it somewhere in the class webpage, kind of like as a material, so the students can see it and click on it each week or whatever. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how you view your responses. So you're going to click on one of your Google Forms, whichever one you want to look for. Right now I'm viewing the questions on my Google form. The number of responses will show up here. So this shows me that I've got 87 students who have responded or completed this form. I can click on responses and I can view it by summary, question, or by individual person. I like to download my responses, and you can do that by going to this menu right here. If you click on it, it allows you to download your responses, and that's going to be in the form of an Excel spreadsheet. It looks something like this. Now the timestamp means this is the date and time that the students completed this reform. Here's their name, and this is the period. So I like to sort this by period, right? And expand the selection. And now I've sorted all of my students' attendance by period, period 1 through, here's period 1 students, all the way down to my period 7 students. Now some teachers like to take attendance by separating their forms by period, so you can definitely make a different form for each class period and just view the forms or responses straight from Google Classroom. I just like to have one form so that I am not bombarded with forms on my Google page. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how you copy a form. It's actually very simple. There's only one step. So you're going to go to this very top right hand corner and click on this menu right here, the one that is next to your Google icon. And if it drops down, you see that it says make a copy. All you do is make a copy, and then of course you rename your form period to attendance or whatever it is that you want to rename it, and you click OK. And then you should see that form appear in your in your folder of forms, right? So here's my first one right here. Here's my period 2 attendance form that I had just copied. Okay, and that's the end. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this was informative, and I'll see you guys around.